Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining. I think we have a good chunk of folks in now, so we're gonna go ahead and hop in and get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Super exciting couple weeks here at Help Scout as we launch some brand new features for our messages product, and we're here to talk about that today. I'm Alex, a senior product marketer here at Help Scout, and I'm super excited to be joined by Jess Vivial Larson today. Thank you so much for joining, Jess. Good morning.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And I'm super excited that Jess is here because she not only is a great user of messages and can talk all about that at Flexjobs, but has a crazy story with Help Scout itself over the past decade. One of our longest
Yep.
standing customers. She's amazing. So I'm super excited that she's here. We're very grateful to have you, Jess. And
Thank you.
just a quick walkthrough of what we're going to talk about today. In classic fashion for Help Scout, we're going to not keep you here more than 20 or 30 minutes. We're going to pack in as much as we can here. Just so we know, we have a lot to cover, but we're going to try and leave a few minutes for Q&A at the end of the webinar. So if you have anything, there is the Q&A feature you can see on the menu bar. Feel free to throw your questions in there, and we'll try to get to them as best we can. Also, because we got a few emails with folks wondering, we are recording the webinar today, and we will be sending it out as a video to all of you who registered in an email afterwards. So thank you so much. And today, to hop into the agenda real quick, we're going to cover quickly the features. If you haven't already heard, what is new with messages in Help Scout. We're going to talk about Flexjobs' story with Help Scout over the past decade and let Jess tell that story a little bit. And then we're also going to talk about how Flexjobs uses messages specifically, and through the end, talk about some tips and use cases. The goal today is not only just to show you what's new, but to also talk about how you can most effectively use messages to help be more proactive with your support. Whether you're a founder trying to get more out of your support tool, whether you're a customer support leader trying to have new ways to head off issues and the like, we're going to talk about some different use cases that you can use for different teams to engage with your customers using messages. So just to hop in quickly to what is new with the product. If you are a Help Scout customer and you're tuning in today, you will likely have seen on the top menu bar, the top navigation, a change. And there's a new messages dashboard there. So if you go ahead and view that if you haven't already, but the new dashboard is an amazing conglomeration of everything messages. You can find all your messages in one place now instead of having to go into different beacons to find your messages. They're all listed in the same dashboard with different stats, unique viewers. You can manage all your messages, see what's active. Everything is consolidated into one place. It's amazing. Super excited about this change, making it easier for you to not only find where your messages are, but to get going and just get a view and a glance of what's going on with your messages. So that's the main big piece that you can see now from your top navigation in Help Scout. We've also, this is my personal favorite, got targeting with customer properties. This is something that is huge for being able to personalize your messages to reach specific areas of your audience or specific subsets of customers that you might not have been able to before. So if you use customer properties in Help Scout or fill them via the API in some way, you can now target based on those customer properties, whether it's plan, whether it's how long they've been a customer, anything you like to track as a property, you can now target with customer properties. We use them specifically for the messages launch. So if you got a message from us during launch, we use them as well. And it's all within the builder, nice and easy for you as you move through it. Next is scheduling. I believe this was Jess's personal favorite, as we talked about right before the webinar hopped on. You can now schedule your messages, and that's both starting and pausing. So you can set a specific date and time based on the time zone that your Help Scout instance is in, and you can begin and end those messages whenever you want, whenever you need. You can schedule them ahead of time. You can plan out all the messages and campaigns you're going to work on and not have to worry about it because it'll do it all for you automatically. So scheduling now available for messages in Help Scout. And we've got usage tracking. So if you didn't see as well, it's on the website. We also have a doc for it in our Help Scout Help Center, but there is usage tracking. It's that top left unique viewers button in the dashboard. And we did institute some new pricing with messages, usage based by unique viewers every month. Again, more details if you search messages pricing in the Help Scout Help Center at docs.helpscout.com. You can find all the information there, but this will help you track where you're leaning towards in the pricing for each month for messages as well. So just as an update, that is available there as well. So I know I ran through that quickly, but the point today is to talk about how to use messages and FlexJobs story with messages, not just what's new. Again, all of that is available. If you go to the Help Scout blog, you can check out what's new. You can also go to helpscout.com/proactive messages to see more about this, to watch product video, and to start your trial if you're not a Help Scout customer to try it out. But let's talk about FlexJobs. And I'm so excited that Jess is here because it's an incredible story over the past decade. And so I just wanted to spend some time first starting off before we get to messages in itself to give Jess the opportunity to talk about her story with Help Scout a little bit and kind of where they started and where they've come to now. So Jess, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. So we were actually founded in 2007. We are focused on helping job seekers find flexible employment without having to weed through scams, multi-level marketing, advertisements, all of the junk that can be out there in the jobs space. So I joined Flexjobs in 2010. I came on first as a job researcher. I moved into client services. And when I started, we only had one person who was doing client services in Flexjobs. And so having a single mailbox wasn't a problem. When I joined, we needed a solution that was going to allow transparency for our customers and our work. So we found Help Scout, and we honestly have not looked back. So since 2010, FlexJobs and Help Scout have moved from startups to mature digital businesses. And it's been really amazing to kind of work along with Help Scout as they've grown and released new products that's kind of gone in tandem with the products that we've needed in FlexJobs. So it's just been a really nice, interesting marriage through the last decade. So when we first started using it, it was just specifically for incoming job seeker communication. Today, we use Help Scout for our incoming B2B customers, which is our employers who are looking to hire from our motivated pool of flexible workers, our job seeker client services, and then we also use our data integrity uses it to keep track of our job links as well. So we have expanded our use and who in the business is using Help Scout over the past 10 years. So it's been a really great tool for our business.
Awesome. And they're an amazing customer. We're so glad to have them. And something that Jess talked to me about was obviously, I think we've all heard it about the past year and a half and how just not normal it's been for businesses and for everyone in regular everyday life, and how that affected FlexJobs and what y'all were doing there. And you showed me this is a real screenshot from your account. So I just wanted to give an opportunity to talk about this and kind of how you used Help Scout and Beacon and messages specifically over the past year and a half to help your support team deal with everything that was happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the pandemic impacted FlexJobs in a way that many companies were not experiencing. We were actually really, really busy because people were looking for jobs. People were looking for kind of the next step of their life and how are they going to mitigate maybe some, career changing or things like that through the pandemic. So we actually had double the number of job seekers looking on our site to help them find flexible work. And this, obviously increased our number of incoming questions, but having the beacons across our site literally helped thousands of people get the, basic questions answered without having to reach out to my team. So while our contacts did double, my team size stayed exactly the same. We were able to scale and absorb all of that increase in traffic, specifically because of the setups we had with our beacons, with our messages, and allowing, that kind of self-service that can be really, really valuable. So it is really, thanks to Beacon, thanks to messages, that we were able to not have to go into a hiring frenzy ourselves to absorb that new activity.
Amazing. And that's kind of one of the points that we're trying to talk about here with messages and why we built it, right? Because there's kind of two sides to support, whether it is a support team specifically using Help Scout or whether it's one of the other teams, like what happens at FlexJobs. There's this proactive and reactive, right? We've got reactive with people chatting in, we've got reactive with shared inboxes, help desks for people emailing in. But then there's that proactive piece that's becoming much more popular and has been over the past few years, of course,
Mhm.
with people adding help centers and knowledge bases to be able to get people to find their own answers. And now with messages and things like that, you can now be more proactive again to help people find the answers they need without needing to talk to your team to help not only deflect, right? If people can help find their own answers, it's a
Mhm.
great scenario for the end customer as well if they don't have to even ask support, but also to take some pressure off your team, especially in the past year and a half where things have been difficult enough. Anything helps, and
Yeah.
this is another example of that great. I love seeing that chart and those numbers and the fact that you could keep your same team and deal with all of that extra traffic over the last year is pretty phenomenal. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about messages a little bit. Super excited to talk about this because of all the varied use cases that Jess and Flexjobs has with messages. So we just wanted to hop right into some overall description of how they use it and some specific examples. And again, the goal for all of this is just to give you some inspiration, right? We're going to have throughout the rest of the time here today, we're going to have a lot of different tips and use cases and ways that you can use messages to hopefully give you some ideas for how you can engage with your customers using proactive messages with Beacon. So let's start with this virtual job fair. Jess, could you tell me all about how y'all use this?
Yeah, so we do virtual job fairs twice a year, and messages have been integral in how we market, execute, and support both the employers and job seekers. So before the fair, we will list messages on the employer side of our site with information about how to join, how to get a booth, what the virtual job fair could do to benefit their hiring practices. And then once we've established our employer customers, we put a message up on a few of our different beacons letting people know how to register for the fair. So that includes links and images, and that's for our job seekers to attend the fair. Day of the fair, we actually change the messages for our subscribers to information about how to get support should they need it during the fair because it is a third-party vendor. So we want to make sure that everybody has as smooth of a transition as possible and is able to utilize the platform. So while we do advertise the event across social media and blogs, we also saw our fair in September capture over 800 views with our employers and over 10,000 views from job seekers and over 1,500 registrations to the fair. So it is a really large marketing tool that we like to use across those different use cases from support to B2B to B2C. So yeah, it's
Awesome.
been wonderful.
Yeah, and I think this is a great example just to illustrate one of the big focuses for Julie, who's the product manager on our messages team, and the whole team that has been working on this product is that it's supposed to be flexible, right? We want Help Scout has always been a flexible tool. We want this to be flexible for whatever you need. It's not just one specific use case. It's not just driving people to start chats. You can do different things with messages. You can just engage with your customers. You can do marketing. You can do signups, and you can also start those conversations if you'd like. So I love this example just because you have three different examples within one campaign that you're
Mhm.
working on. And you mentioned B2B and B2C as well. We have customers all over the place when it comes to software B2B or e-commerce customers, folks doing direct to consumer. And it's awesome that FlexJobs does both, right? It's a
Mhm.
very unique situation doing both within one company. And so we wanted to provide some examples of these different specific messages that y'all use. So this is a B2C example. And Jess, could you talk us through just kind of what the strategy and idea is behind this one, and how you use it?
Yeah, so this is one of our B2C. So this would be our job seeker side of the site. And we use this as an example to get our job seekers to chat, to the knowledge sharing and support. So this particular example pops up after someone has been on the page for 10 seconds. This contact form imports all of that information into our phone system and our Help Scout. So everything goes into Help Scout for us to manage from there. But it's a really nice way because we are really focused on making sure that our customers know they are supported and we do have live people that would love to help them. So it's a really effective way to make sure that people know where to go if they get lost at any point.
Totally. And let's talk about some results from this. And this is a long-term messages, a lot of views there all time, and a lot
Yeah,
of clicks overall.
it's true. Yeah. So we do see, daily hundreds of people clicking onto the messages. and utilizing their support and being able to go through and look at the beacon and see what people are asking questions about is really helpful for us just to know how well our support is doing as well. So it's yeah, it's a very, very powerful tool for us to use. Yeah.
And let's go ahead and change gears here and look at B2B then. So a different style of message, different thing you're searching for. Could you talk us through this one?
Yeah, so this is an example of how we use our messages to market to new or current employers who are interested in listing their roles or recruiting from our database of job seekers. So the submit button actually takes a person to a conversation in Help Scout that our sales and marketing team can then follow up on. So it is a really quick, efficient way to get people, into the sales funnel at the very beginning of their experience with Flexjobs.
For sure. And when we look at the results for this one, important to note some differences. This is over just 4 days
Mhm.
of setting this live and using this. This was the first 4 days they had this message live. Obviously, it's not a 63,000 views number, but when you look at this performance and these clicks, these are very high intent clicks, right? These are going directly to the sales team since this is a promo offer. So that's a different type of result, a different thing that you can expect in this message, right?
Absolutely. And we know that our employers tend to view, our site and other job listing sites as well. So we would expect to see, more views than clicks, obviously. But this is still, a really great result, especially considering that this 4 days actually was over the weekend as well. So it
Really?
wasn't even one of our high volume days, or a couple of days. So yeah, really, really great results.
Absolutely. Awesome. So again, just two different ways that you can use messages, B2B and B2C, just to give y'all some ideas of how FlexJobs is doing it for some great results so far. And let's talk about some top tips. So obviously you've been using messages for a bit here before these updates. Could you talk and just walk everyone through just kind of your top tips and what you have learned through using messages that makes it effective for your team that people could possibly learn from?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it seems silly to say, but it's really true. You really do want to make sure that the message that you're putting on the page is relevant. It's a powerful tool. It can get very tempting to just kind of have them pop up everywhere. But you want to make sure that you're being, pretty clear about why you would have a message on that page. And so we want it to be eye-catching. We want it to be helpful. That's really, really important. We also really want to make sure that you target your messages. And so watching the controls that you're using within the Help Scout panel is important because every page doesn't need the same messaging popping up day after day. Every customer doesn't need that same exposure every time they go to a page. So you really want to make sure that you're throttling the information to the right people and diving into a little bit more of that personalization. The third one for sure is to change the messages often. You want to stay top of mind. You need to make sure that it's something that someone sees and thinks, I actually need this information versus I already know that it's not relevant to me, and they just close it down. So you want to make sure that it is something that is going to be important and that they can identify there would be a reason it's popping up for them to read. And then the last thing I would say is just to make sure that you have a really great, strong support structure. So you want to make sure your team is aware of all of the current messages, what they say, what they're trying, what their goal is. If if you have a message on a page that you've just launched and you're trying to get feedback, you want to make sure that that information is getting to the team that is looking for that feedback. So those are really big ones that I think have made our messages campaigns successful, is just making sure that we really do keep those pieces top of mind when creating a message.
Yeah, there are two pieces of this I'd love to double click on for y'all. And the first is that last one, because I don't think a lot of people think about this when they're doing proactive messages, when they're trying to start chats on the website, whatever it might be. It's that someone has to help do that on the back end, right? It's not just you can send it out, and maybe that's a marketer problem. If you're becoming a marketer, where you're just like send out the message and then don't worry about it. But you've got to think about what's happening on the back end, right? And I can say that, by the way, because I am a marketer. But you've got to, keep your team informed. You've got to make sure everyone is ready for not only what is going to happen, what the goals are, what you're hoping to accomplish. You can help provide answers. If the support team is expecting answers based on one of the messages you're sending out, you should be prepping them for,
Yes.
here's what some answers you might expect. Here's how to help give them some responses or some information that you can provide customers based on whatever campaign you're running. So it's really important to keep your team in line to support them and make sure they have everything they need to help customers if they are engaging with your messages, because that's obviously the goal. And then the other part of it is kind of the good side of that, right? Is that everyone is kind of becoming a marketer a little bit in some way, right? So you're flexing those writing muscles a bit, you're targeting your messages. It's kind of like classic marketing principles of making sure to make things more personalized nowadays. The expectation has gone, it is way past time when the expectation for people is to be able to have personalized messages in whatever type of marketing you're doing. And even if you're not a marketer using this, if you're a support person, whatever it might be, it's vital, right? It's vital to make sure that you do that. We do it all the time. We actually do this at Help Scout, making sure we target all of our messages, whether it's planned or otherwise, and then also letting the C team know, which is our customers team at Help Scout, what's happening, what's going on. Like with the launch we had, right, last week, we were making sure they knew what emails and what messages we were sending out in app, and then making sure they knew what to expect and what might happen when people respond as we announce these new features. And that's just a super recent example for how we use it. So some great tips there. Thank you so much, Jess, for sharing those.
Yeah.
We also have some other use cases that we wanted to talk through. Again, just to give you some ideas for how else you can use messages. And it's also important to know these are available online. You can go ahead and go to docs.helpscout.com. And if you search messages use cases, we have some of these examples listed there. If you need some more ideas, we'll also be posting more on the Help Scout blog with some different ways you can use messages here over the next couple weeks. So you can watch out for that. But just wanted to walk through some other examples and ideas that highlight some of the things you can do with messages. Again, the things we like to say you can do are you can promote, you can update, you can proactively support, right? Whether you're a marketer, a product person, or on the support team. The first example is great for what we're doing here, right? You can announce a new webinar. We put a little link to register in the in-app message. If you're a Help Scout customer, you probably saw that. Maybe you're here because of that. But we included it in our overall launch messaging in-app. So that's another example. And again, with the CTAs in messages in Help Scout, you can not only start a chat, right? You can send to any URL. If you're a Help Scout Docs customer, you can also link directly to a support article. There are different ways you can use this to get the action that you want out of your messages. Another example here is an e-commerce example talking about new designs for banana shirts that you can send to get people to pre-order. You can also do support notifications, right? Link to the status page for this third example. Something is offline, you want to get ahead of that issue to let people know, hey, we're aware of the issue, we're working on it, so that people using your app or whatever it might be, if there's a product you have online in any way, they can know what's going on, right? And not have to bombard your support team with questions when the product goes down or something like that. And then also the last one here is you can also just start conversations and get feedback, right? If you're welcoming them to the app, to a different page, you can start conversations, have them email you, whatever it might be. So this is a great way just to start those conversations and get general feedback. Again, the goal here is to show you the different flexibility, to get the creative muscles going, to figure out how else you want to use messages. And it's great to experiment, right? With reporting and messages, you can see how many views and clicks you're getting and what people are responding to figure out what is working best and to keep experimenting over time. Just like Jess said there, change your messages often, experiment. There's no harm in it. It's worth trying out different things to, you could set a message and then take it off just a couple days later to try something new. You don't have to set things over time. With scheduling now, you can do that. But there's a lot of different ways to use this. The goal with it was to be flexible. So just remember, we're trying to make this as easy for you to do what you want with it to help, whether it's your support team or other teams in Help Scout. So those are just some examples, folks, for how you can use messages. Jess, thanks so much for sharing all of that detail, both on your journey with Help Scout and with messages in particular. You can go to helpscout.com /proactive messages or messages for more information. That is where we're talking all about this. And again, if you haven't tried it out yet, it's in the top nav. You can see the messages dashboard there. It looks like we do have one question, so I'll go ahead and answer that before we hop off here. And I did see Paul. I did see your message. Thank you very much. I cannot confirm whether a mustache helps for marketing, but it might. You might be right. I'll take it. But we had a good question from Jonathan just about the pricing on new messages. It's if you go over your allowance for the billing period, how is the fee charged per unique viewer or flat charge? So it is batched. So it's not just like each 1, 2, 3 unique viewers, it's per a chunk of viewers. And you can see what those specific levels are. Again, if you go to docs.helpscout.com, you can search messages pricing and we lay everything out for you. But I did want to make note here because he brings up a good point that we have introduced spending limits. So it's not just, you can set it so that it doesn't just keep going as you send out messages. You can set a specific spending limit each month to control and it will block it at that time. So we're not trying to do any surprise billing here. You can control that yourself and then you can decide to raise it if you want. You can turn that on and off as you please. So just know if you go to the plans and billing area where we talk about messages in the app itself, you can set that spending limit there for you if you want. Awesome. I think that is it for the questions. Customize messages based on the page. We did have one more for Dennis. Yes. So that uses events. You can set the specific URL. There's a lot of other events you can use as well. And that's right in the builder. So you'll have the create section, the event section, the audience section, and then the scheduling and activation section all across the top in the messages builder. And events, you can do it based on the specific URL. You can do it based on time on page, when they scroll. You can do a lot of different things there. So beyond just targeting with customer properties and getting the specific people, the who, you can also get the when and where as well with events. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, since we have no more, we'll go ahead and let y'all go, give you 3 minutes back in your day. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. Really appreciate it. Again, we're really excited about the new messages features that have been going live. The team has been working super hard to get this out, and it's a great just round out solution to the Help Scout platform to help you engage, again, both reactively and proactively with your customers to help support them in every way that they need it and to help your support teams as well. So Jess, thank you so much for joining today. We really appreciate it. It was a blast, and thanks for sharing all your knowledge with us.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks, y'all. Have a great day.
Bye.